that now takes place, I believe, at the Bank of Canada. This is just purely conjecture, but it does seem this way, where when the market seemingly starts picking up some strength, the Bank of Canada intentionally tries to tamper down in direct relation to it. And whereas before, the fact that the real estate market was on a tear wouldn't necessarily indicate where the government Bank of Canada was going because there were other factors at play. Think
Hmm.
manufacturing, think oil, think whatever it is, exports. Now it seems like their prime focus, the eye of Sauron, if you will,
Yeah.
is distinctly focused on Toronto and Vancouver and
Yeah.
seeing what
Yeah.
happens in the housing markets.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we didn't see the interest rates go down yesterday is probably a direct response to what you and I are feeling about the market, which is that there's a pickup. And the
Hmm.
government is probably sitting there saying, guys, don't think that the good times are coming back. We're monitoring this. And now smart money is calling for the rates to fall towards the third quarter of this year or the fourth quarter of this year. Probably again to let some of the wind out of the sails, which I believe still is a necessary correction. I don't believe that the corrective actions that we've partaken in over the past 2 years, however painful they are, has unwound even to well, certainly not to a large degree, but I
Yeah.
would hesitate to even say to a medium degree, the exuberance of the past many years, meaning that not only is there tremendous pain because we're slowly going down, but there's still tremendous pain for people who are trying to enter into the market who cannot. I mean, the average salary in order to buy $1 million home, which is the average cost of a freehold home in Toronto,
Yeah.
now requires $200,000 down and $250,000 in income. And good luck to you.
Yeah.
That assumes no student debt. That assumes nothing else. I mean,
Yeah.
what it assumes is that you have parental help. And should
Right.
we really be structuring an economy around people who require parental help to buy a first home? That's not the way Canada has found prosperity since World War II. And the Bank of Canada, I think, is rightly concerned and rightly turning its eye of Sauron on these markets, particularly because these are becoming such bars to basic middle class life and existence.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too, right? If like they say, okay, we're going to stay on pause, and then eventually they're going to, because some economists are even saying like as much as 1% drop by the end of the year. Will that mean that whatever we had in October, November, December, like that was the bottom? Like because like so that would mean these prices are not affordable to the average per people, right? It's only for the rich. Like you said, like 200 grand down payment, over $200,000 income, which means like a six figures each, even if it's two people. And a lot of people I know working in factories, they're nowhere close to that, right? That's my world, so that's where I come from. You're lucky to take home like 3, 4 grand a month if you're lucky.
Yeah,
So,
totally. And
but
taking that home and saving up for a house while rental costs are
exactly,
2,500 to
yeah,
3,000. I mean,
yeah,
then you have to afford food,
yeah.
and then your previous debt. No, there's no way for an average person
There's
to make it. There's no way for a person on $250,000 a year. I mean, I know the comments are going to go nuts and say, how can you say that 250,000? But consider this. I teach at law school
mm,
and I'm watching a bunch of lawyers who granted are not average to begin with. These are not what the average is doing, but do consider that these were people who were gearing for the upper middle class for a long period of time.
yeah,
These people are now graduating with 120 to $130,000 worth of debt. 120 to 130,000 debt.
yeah,
And this is debt that they can't get rid of. They come out of that debt. They are now approaching 30 years old. They're expected to start a family.
mm,
And then they go and they say, thank you very much. I would like to, while I am paying for rent and while I'm taking on a job that's paying me no better than $70,000 a year, $80,000 a year as a first time lawyer. Again, I'm talking about lawyers here specifically. I'm not trying to talk about the general public. General
yeah,
public
yeah,
has a very different set of economic circumstance.
yeah,
But just consider like the people who have set themselves up and are ready to go ahead and go through a lot of pain in order to assure a middle class life, because that's
yeah,
kind of what the promise of the professions have been for the past 30 years.
yeah.
They're no longer finding it. They're no longer finding it in these things. And
Right.
as a result, it's all well and good to believe that the market may have hit its nadir, but the simple fact is that we cannot have a housing stock that is designed around the rich alone and the renter class. That's not to say that some economies haven't been based on that in the past historically, but if we're to maintain ourselves as a first world country that provides opportunity to our immigrant base and that provides opportunity to our youth, we need to fundamentally address what is the necessary component of life, which is housing above
Yeah.
all else. It's not any. It's just a matter of basic equity. You and I mean, I'm just basing it on the basis of your hair color and on the basis of the fact that I'm losing hair. You and
Uh,
I had a very different experience when we came into this. Our
oh yeah.
parents, maybe not our parents, they were kind of the people who somewhat screwed it up as well. But previous generations had ensured that as long as we kind of stuck to the tried and true and worked, we were
Mm,
ahead. Now,
Mhm.
what we're seeing more and more is that those people who work, keep their head down, and do everything that's promised have absolutely no chance at viability. And then we wonder, why is it that Dubai is looking attractive with its 0% tax rate? Why is
Right.
it that the States is starting to take on its more traditional role of being a brain drain as opposed to, over the past 20 years, Canada has actually attracted a huge amount of brain and talent. We're on the precipice of having that reversed. And this directly, of course, ties into the whole scandal with the colleges that are taking place these days. I don't know if you've been
Yeah,
following them, but we,
yeah,
we
a little
have
bit.
we have a problem. We have a significant problem. And interest rates going low and starting that bailiwick again
Yeah,
means that we are traveling down the path that led us here. And I don't know that the Bank of Canada wants to see that. And more, I don't know that our politicians from all parties, I don't know where the NDP is on anything, but I don't follow them.
yeah,
But both the Liberals and the Conservatives, I think, are kind of trending towards we have a problem here. Now, I grant you they have very different solutions, and I
yeah,
grant you that they may be totally ineffectual in dealing with them, but at least recognizing that these problems exist is something that I think is permeating political consciousness as much as it is the Bank of Canada's consciousness. And as a result, there is a distinct desire to fix this problem. Now, again, governments are terrible, and I don't know if they will be able to fix this problem,
yeah, yeah.
but there is the desire, or a growing desire at least.